Hi, everybody. My name is Colin Murphy, and welcome to Torcana Podcast number 15. Now, obviously, regular listeners will know that most of our podcasts will talk about general real estate investing topics that could apply to any state and any type of level of investing, just for people getting started, people looking to grow their portfolios further. But every now and again, I try and talk about specific markets. And today I'm going to talk about Florida and why we love Florida, and particularly why we love the Tampa, Florida market. And obviously, a lot of people will discount Florida, but I'd encourage you, just give me 5 or 10 minutes, listen to what we got to say about Florida, because it is really a fascinating market. There's a lot more to it than meets the eye. There's a lot more to Florida than Disney World and retirees and NASA space stations. An awful lot more to it than that. So, over the last week or two, I've been collating a lot of interesting information on the business, the economy, the tourism, the education factors that can make these markets really interesting from an investment perspective. And I'm just going to go through them today. I'm going to talk about, why we love Florida. I'm going to talk about what's so important about the Tampa economy, what drives it as a market, what makes it very exciting for cash flow investors, how you can get more value for money in Tampa, Florida, certain commuter towns in Tampa, Florida than a lot of other places I know. But I'm going to try and keep it as general as I can. I'm going to try and give you a lot of useful information on the Florida market and on the Tampa market in particular, and just let you make up your own minds and decide whether it's worth investigating further. But I think I'll try and do this more often, where I'll give kind of market specific podcasts, but I'm going to do this one on Florida, then I'll do generic ones for the next couple of podcasts, and I'll obviously look forward to your feedback. Feel free to give us a thumbs up, give us a rating on iTunes or Android. We love receiving feedback. If there's specific topics you'd like me to cover, just let me know, get in touch with me. But I'm going to start now about why I love Florida. What is it about Florida that I love? I mean, apart from the sunshine and so on, but really what's great about Florida, and not everybody knows this, but Florida leads the nation in job growth. This was in an article published by Associated Press, collating this statistical data. Florida is creating more jobs than Texas. I mean, Texas is one of the big success stories of the post-crisis, but Florida's creating more jobs. It's doing tremendously well. Unemployment is down at 4.8%. That's a full 1% drop in 1 year. It was up towards 10% at the top of the crisis, I remember it well. Now it's under 5%. And really, an unemployment rate of under 5% is almost full employment. I mean, it's hard to get under 4.8%. There's not too many countries anywhere in the world where you'll get unemployment under 4%. It's just doesn't generally happen, because there's always so many people in between jobs or looking for jobs or changing jobs, that anything between 4 and 5 is, practically speaking, an extremely healthy job market, and Florida can certainly claim that. Florida is also an extremely landlord friendly state. It's a great place to be a landlord, and what I mean by that is if you have problem tenants in Florida, it's very easy to change them. The eviction process in Florida is extremely quick, generally 15 to 30 days. If somebody's supposed to be paying their money on the first of the month, they get their 3-day notice, they get a bunch of other paperwork that your property manager can take care of, and literally they will be evicted before the end of the month. It's an extremely quick process. Thankfully, a qualified property manager will vet your tenants properly in the first place, so that you shouldn't have to do that. But generally, it's a very landlord-friendly state. Florida likes to encourage people to invest. It tries to support landlords, and it's a great place to do business there, certainly compared to other states like New York or California, where tenants have far, far stronger rights than they do in places like Florida. Obviously, it's got some of the best beaches in the USA. It regularly has 2 or 3 beaches in the top 10 in the country. That's a given, both on the West Coast and on the East Coast. Getting back to brass tacks, Florida is just one of 7 states with no state income tax. It's also got very low property taxes. I mean, typically the property taxes on a $100,000 property would be about $1,000, $1,100, so very, very low compared to most other states. And of course, the great thing about Florida is how quickly the population is growing. It passed out New York. back in late 2014. It is now the third most populous state in the USA after California and Texas. And that is just a tremendous story. The fact that Florida, sometimes when we're looking at property, we just forget to look at these basic fundamentals. Are people moving to these areas? Are more young people moving to these areas? Are they creating jobs? Is the population growing? Because if you're investing in a city where the population is falling, even if you have a great property manager, it's going to be hard to make it work over the long term, because if the population is falling, there's going to be supply and demand problems, and Florida is not going to have that. It's growing tremendously fast. And then moving on to Tampa. Tampa is obviously, sometimes it's weird. It doesn't get as much name recognition as Orlando, but the reality is Tampa is far more important to the economy of Florida than Orlando is. Tampa is a $130 billion economy. Okay, it's one of the top 20 fastest growing metro areas in the USA. It's got a population of over 4 million people. Okay, it's a very big area, by far the most important economic engine in Florida after Miami, and then 2 or 3 times bigger than Orlando and Jacksonville. So Tampa is an extremely big metropolitan area. It's a big, powerful economy, and it's diversified as well. It's not just, obviously you've got MacDill Air Force Base, which employs 15,000 people. You've got U.S. Central Command, so there's a huge military presence there. But it's also got the 7th largest port in the nation. It's got a huge financial services hub. You've got a lot of healthcare and healthcare research facilities. You've got an enormous university in the University of South Florida. And you've a lot of other industries in telecommunications, avionics, tourism, retirement, a lot of big businesses there. I mean, Tampa is home to is headquarters to 4 Fortune 500 companies. They're Public Supermarkets, Jabil Circuit, Tech Data Corp, and WellCare Health Plans. So they're all, out of the 16 Fortune 500 companies in Florida, 4 of them are here in Tampa. Okay. So as I was saying, population of 4 million, one of the biggest metro areas in the USA. Tampa added over 44,000 jobs, private sector jobs, in 2015. That is an enormous amount of jobs. And generally speaking, it's got it's low taxes, it's got a great climate, you've diverse businesses, as I was saying, you've great healthcare, strong education system there. And also Tampa is spending billions of dollars on upgrades to the road, air, water, and rail systems. They already have very, very good systems, and they're spending billions and billions of dollars more. I'll come on to those in a minute. And Tampa, Tampa is not just downtown Tampa. When I say Tampa metropolitan area, there's a whole range of commuter towns and other cities in there, which would include places like Sarasota, Bradenton, obviously Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Holiday, Port Richey, Tarpon Springs. There's a whole range of areas. It's a little bit like the San Francisco Bay Area, where San Francisco has a relatively modest population, but there's this huge urban area, these massive bridges connecting different parts of the bay to other towns and cities, and Tampa's a little bit like that. Okay, so I have a great quote about Tampa from Jeff Finnick, who's a billionaire that moved there a couple of years ago. He's the owner of the Tampa Bay Lightnings, and he's a big investor. And he said Tampa is like a value stock. It hasn't been found out yet, but business is taking off, and I think we're in the middle of a bull market here. It was said by Jeff Finnick. Jeff Finnick has a partnership at the minute with Bill Gates's Cascade Investment. They're going through a $2 billion mixed-use development, which is transforming 40 acres of downtown Corridor into this huge entertainment, business, and residential hub. Okay, so that's a big deal. Also, the airport, Tampa Bay Airport, is halfway through a huge $1 billion renovation as well. This will help the airport accommodate up to 35 million passengers per year. That's double the amount in 2013. Okay, and that investment includes a 1.4 mile people mover track, a 2.6 million square foot car rental facility, a massive overhaul of the main terminal building, which includes dozens of new restaurants and retailers. You also have Port Tampa Bay planning a 1.7 billion mixed use developments. That's based on 45 acres of port-owned property that's near the Vinnick and Bill Gates site. That's, they're imagining 9 million square feet of mixed-use space over the next 15 years, and that's going to be a kind of a public-private partnership. And, kind of getting on to education, I mean, you have the University of South Florida, which is this enormous top-tier research institution. I mean, it's, apart from 48,000 students and 9,000 staff, which obviously has a huge impact on the local economy. This is a university that has an annual operating budget of $1.5 billion. This is huge. I mean, it's one of the, this is a top-tier research institution. This is up there with your Harvards and Yales. It offers over 200 degree programs in every field, from businesses to arts and sciences, engineering, public health. It's really a very, very big deal. Generally speaking, I mentioned about the Fortune 500. The biggest employers in Tampa would be Baycare Health. They employ 22,000 people. You've got MacDill Air Force Base. They employ 15,000 people. You've Publix with 13,000. Home Shopping Network have a huge presence here. They have more than 11,000 employees. Obviously, the University of South Florida, 9,000. You've JP Morgan and Citigroup, about 9,000 between them. Verizon employ about 6,000 people. You've the huge Moffitt Cancer Research Center that employs more than 4,000 people. So these are really great, diverse, important companies. Okay, even though you're getting onto the Air Force Base in MacDill, that contributes over $5 billion annually to the Tampa economy. That is a big deal. Tourism is really important. There's more than 50,000 tourism jobs in Tampa. They have an average income of $44,000 each of those tourism jobs, and I'm not just talking about, waiters and lifeguards and people that work in hotels. I mean, tourism generates jobs in all fields. We're talking about, high-end lawyers, property developers, resort operators. I mean, it's not just, when you think of tourist jobs, a lot of people just think of waiters and hotel maids. I mean, it's not just that at all. There's an awful lot of, there's thousands of six-figure jobs in the tourist industry in Tampa. And one of the great things about tourism from the point of view of an investor is that tourism taxes are about $725 per household, and that means that they can afford to levy lower taxes for residents and investors, the fact that they're doing so well from tourism and tourism taxes. And you can see that in plans for expansion as well. Clearwater Beach is planning to have 1,000 new hotel rooms by the end of 2017. Obviously, sports-wise as well, Tampa's got a great reputation as a location for big sport events. They've hosted 4 Super Bowls, including the 2009 Super Bowl. They've got a lot of active professional sport teams, including the NFL, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Major League Baseball's Tampa Bay Rays, National Hockey, Tampa Bay Lightning. Also, you have the New York Yankees, called Tampa their home for spring training. So you get a lot of people flying down from New York to get away from the cold and watch the Yankees practice during the winter. Okay, so that's literally hundreds of thousands of fans flying down to watch baseball for that. But there you go. There's some really interesting thing. I mean, why do people want to live in Tampa? As I say, it's ranked in the top 10 areas for college educated talent. Huge military investment. You've got great parks and recreation, including Children's Museum, the Dali Museum, Tampa Art Museum. You've got really innovative universities. The University of South Florida is one of the top 50 in the nation for research expenditure, joining the ranks of Stanford, Yale, and Harvard. You have the low cost of doing business. Okay, it's one of the best places for corporate services, according to KPMG. It's got a hot startup environment. There's a huge range of public and private initiatives for startups. But really the real reason is a fantastic quality of life. I mean, in Tampa, you've the lifestyle, the beaches, the climate, the sunsets, the people, the bars and the restaurants. They're as good as anywhere I have ever seen in my life. Tampa is a very, very special place. All over Tampa Bay. I mean, you've, from, like I was saying, from St. Petersburg to Clearwater to downtown Tampa, down into Sarasota, up into, Palm Harbor and Largo and Tarpon Springs, Port Richey. There's a load of beautiful areas. And, so what do we do there? I mean, my job isn't just about podcasts. I'm a full-time real estate investor. I'm a full-time, I buy a lot of rental properties, we buy a lot of rehab properties that we fix up and flip and sell to other investors, a lot of out-of-state investors. We target commuter towns. That's our gig. We target commuter towns. Particularly in Tampa, like I was saying, there's a kind of a continuous urban area stretching from Sarasota in the south all the way up to Spring Hill in the north. We target commuter towns in the center of that area. These are places like Port Richey and Holiday. There's literally people driving south to go to work. These are safe, low crime, working middle class neighborhoods. Our typical tenants would be nurses, teachers, admin staff, retirees, people working in the tourist industry. And these areas, there's this huge pent-up demand for rental properties. These are commuter places. They're 15 miles from Clearwater, 17 from Tampa, 30 miles from St. Pete. One of the fastest growing counties in the country, and just great areas. These are places with a population about 500,000 people, 450,000 people, really up. And I'm talking about Port Richey and Holiday. They're in a place called Pasco County. You're talking about median household incomes of $44,000. And what we do is we find single family homes in these areas. We like to get 3-bed, 2 baths with a detached garage, fenced yard. 1,200 to 1,500 square feet would be the normal size. Most have open plan living areas and an enclosed back porch as well, or a flower room as they're called over here. Turnkey price ranges after they've been renovated are about $90,000 to $120,000. And by renovated, I mean we put in new roofs, new air conditioners, new floors, new kitchens, new bathrooms, painted inside and out. And these properties, these $100,000 properties, these are renting for $1,000, $1,100. So they're meeting the 1% rule. They're cash flowing extremely well. We work with a lot of great people to make it work. And so, these are all the reasons why we love Tampa. And I can talk about it all day long, but I hope I've given you a flavor of why we like Tampa, from a business perspective, from a tourism perspective, from education. It's, sports, culture, it's just got so much going for it. And the long-term trend is just terrific. I mean, average prices in Tampa increased by 17% last year, median sales prices. The market here is booming, but it's still one of the few places I know anywhere where you can get concrete built bungalows in middle-class areas, in non-flood zones, for $100,000 fully renovated with tenants paying $1,000, $1,100. I mean, how many places can you get those numbers in areas with strong economies and fast growing populations? I'd love you to tell me, because I don't think there's very many. Tampa is one of them. I think if you haven't thought about it, maybe this presentation or this podcast would make you look into it a little bit more. There's a lot of information on Tampa on our website, torcana.com, Torcana. We have a lot of different buyer's guides and track records and things like that where you can learn more about Tampa. Obviously, do your own independent research as well. We'd always encourage that. But, if you're interested, do some homework and give me a call. I'm happy to talk about it. I hope that gave you a flavor of why Florida is an interesting place from a rental property point of view, from an investment point of view, and why Tampa is one of the engines of Florida, where you have an economy roughly comparable in size to Miami, but nowhere near as expensive from a property investment and a cost of living point of view. So kind of got the best of both worlds as far as I'm concerned. And I'd love to talk to you more about it if you like it. So look, thanks for tuning in. Sorry for the delay as always between this podcast and the last one. It's just been manic these last few weeks, but I'll try and do the next one a lot sooner. Again, your feedback is always appreciated. And there you go. This is Colin Murphy, Torcana Podcast 15, signing out. I hope you have a wonderful day, and let's catch up soon. Bye-bye. This recording contains general information relating to the real estate market, and it is for educational purposes only. Buyers should always seek appropriate legal, tax, and financial advice from suitably qualified professionals before entering into any real estate transaction. Actual returns from rental properties will always vary from person to person and deal to deal based on unique circumstances. While we have no reason to doubt the validity of comments of any guests on our show, we do not warrant their accuracy. Opinions of the host are not necessarily shared by other employees and partners of Torcana and its subsidiaries.